Hello and welcome to this My Stamp Lady video. I'm going to show you how I made this ornament. It is the famous ornament from the front of the Stampin' Up! Holiday catalog for 2012, and I've had a lot of questions about how to make it, what to make, or what to do, so I went ahead and made one, and I'm going to show you how I put it together. To start with, you need to stamp a lot of these two images. You need 20 of, 20 of each. Double check my thinking there. 20 each. So I stamped 20 of this ornament in Old Olive on Berry Vanilla, and then 20 of this ornament in Cherry Cobbler on Berry Vanilla. Then I put them, and I'm not going to show you how cutting them all out because that would takes a little while. The only thing, this ornament's not hard, it's a little time consuming. But one tip I figured out as I was cutting these out was to cut or to place your dies, your framelit dies, let's see, and then this one, and put two of them on there at one time. So when you're running them through the Big Shot on one plate, I put one of the Cherry Cobblers and one of the Old Olives, and then put down my top. And so I was able to cut out two of the dies in one pass, and that will cut the amount of times you need to run your dies through the Big Shot in half. So tip number one. I'm going to set these aside. I'm not going to show you that I did cut out the rest of them, but I did cut them out. Okay, so the other thing with the Big Shot, and before I put it away, is to do the little, I did mine in the solid red here to do this little piece, and it is scored at 1/2 inch. The cover uses a different piece than I'm using, but I didn't buy that designer paper. So I'm going to show you how I did it. Let's pull that tape off. With this piece from a different Christmas designer pattern set. So I have in here my extra large plate, a shim. Then I'm going to put in the piece that I am using, and I do like tape. I have found that it tends to move on me. So I take painter's tape and put that down, and that will help hold my paper where I want it. Then you put down a crease pad because there's a lot of scoring lines on here, and let's roll that through. I have also found, for me, it works better. It is actually ends up being a 1 inch by 12 inch piece that you will fold. I do a larger piece because it just works better for me, and I have found it doesn't, you don't have to be quite as careful. So then what I do is, after just taking my tape off here, after I take run it through, I will just take a cutter and cut it down to 1 by 12, and I've had better luck with that. So I'm going to set this aside, and let's pull in a cutter here, and we'll just put that at 1 inch. Oops, putting the wrong side at 1 inch though. Okay, I want my points up at 1 inch, and then we'll put that down just like that. And for me, this works better, and then I get a better, straighter cut, and we'll just trim that down. Okay, now start assembling, and I'm going to pull in, it's way up here. We now sell a silicone sheet, but before we started, it's just in this holiday catalog, and I've been hearing it's wonderful. I have been using this for a while. They sell them in like grocery stores and hardware stores and stuff. They go to line the bottom of your oven, and they're just an oven liner, and it takes the heat, and it's not as sticky. The stickiness, comes right up. So I cut mine down. It came because it's big for the size of an oven, so I cut mine down to just a size that's a little bit easier for me to use. But I have been hearing wonderful things about the silicone sheet that is available in the Holiday Mini Catalog, and I may have to get that. Okay, so when I cut this out with the Big Shot and the designer rosette die, it has all these little score lines, and it's so wonderful. They're right there for you. So all you got to do is go ahead, fold it up on the lines. There we go. Okay, and then I just take a bit of the Tumble multi-adhesive, put that on here, and let's make a circle. There we go. And then my next step is, after you make the little circle here, is just to push it down just like that to make just your rosette. Onto this sheet, I just put my adhesive or my hot glue. I like hot glue. It works really well. It dries, cools quickly, and it holds, so you aren't having to hold it as long. Okay, so we're going to let that sit there. Hot glue is definitely my glue of choice when doing this project for doing the final assembly. Okay, I'm just going to let this sit here for a second and let that cool down, and I don't need it until much later in the project anyway, so we'll set that aside. Okay, so while we're letting that dry or cool, we are going to make 5 of these little shapes, and what it is 1, 2, 3 of the ornaments glued together. So you can see I've got many of them done, so let me pull in the ones that are not done. 2 and then 3. Now you want to score these in half. Here we go. And so what I did is I took my simply scored, put it up here, and this is the 0 or the centering mark, and so let's score, and I did this to 15 of my ornaments. 15 of the old olive, grab in here, and 15 of the cherry cobbler ornaments. So you score 15 of them in half like that. Okay, I did the rest of mine already, but I'm just going to show you how I did one. And then I take these, and let's fold this in half like this. There we go. And I thought I brought over, oh, here it is. Okay, and we're going to use a bone folder to get those crisp, which I did with all of them. Fold those in half. They are scored first. Okay, I'm going to do the old olive ones first. So we'll take 3 of the old olive ones with the Tumble multi-adhesive. Remember, this is very sticky, and when you get it on your fingers, it stays very sticky, so I just used dots so that it wouldn't squish out all over. There we go. And one more, because we do 3 of them. And just gluing those on top of each other. And so then when you're done, you have something that looks like that. Kind of a dimensional ornament. Okay, I'm going to do that with the cherry cobbler ones too. Did the same thing. So just put some dots of the glue on there. Layered up the 3. Cherry cobbler one changes a bit because I did not put the back on the old olive ones yet, because you're going to end up doing that at the very end to cover up all of your work, and you will see that. But the cherry cobbler ones, you don't need to worry about that. So after you have your 3 stuck together, then I turned it over and I took a cherry cobbler full one that is not folded, did my dots of glue there, and then let's just put that down just like that. And so we finish up the cherry cobbler ones right away. So when you're done, you will have 5 cherry cobblers. I'm going to set them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I have 5 old olive ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The old olive ones do not have their back on them yet. Okay, and then let me see if this is cool enough. I can pull this out of the way. It is. There we go. And now I have my little piece to put at the very top. Done there. Okay, so now we've got most of our parts here, so let's start assembling. I took a 1 3/8 inch circle of Old Olive cardstock, and let's just put the hot glue there. You're just putting down the little top of your ornament and then just touching them at the sides here. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do that all the way around. Okay, so the cherry cobbler tool is cut to about 5 inches. It's got about 1, 2, 3 little bumps, or 5 inches. And then I just took the cherry cobbler and just made it went into the center of it, just like that, and kind of made it into just a little pointy piece like that. And we'll go in and set some hot glue in there, just like that. Now the hot glue is hot, so if you don't want to risk burning yourself, I often will use a paper piercer. Dig that out there. I'll dig a paper piercer to kind of do my, to put it in there so I don't have to actually touch it. There we go. Okay, so I have my cherry cobbler tool in there now. Okay, I am getting some of the hot glue strings. That's one of the things about working with hot glue. The great thing about those, though, is that you can get them off afterwards. Okay, my next step was I took an 8-inch length of linen thread, tied a knot in the end, and then I just took and folded that, or twisted it like that, so I have 2 little loops up there. And then I'm going to take those and just set those right here. Just set those, and this time the little paper piercer comes in very handy. Okay. Okay, I have now all of my linen thread in place, so now I need to put my little cherry cobbler pieces, and those are going to go right in between the linen thread, and it's kind of at an angle, so you can hold it there for a second if you need to, and then put those around. You can see how it's coming together here. Now I have all my cherry cobbler pieces. Now it's just a matter of sticking that in place. So we'll put a little more hot glue on there. And we'll press this just down into place here. There we go. Now you may need to hold it sometimes to get it to go exactly where you want it to. There we go. Just for a couple of seconds while that hot glue cools. Okay, so while that's cooling, I'm going to bring in my vintage faceted button, and then right in the center of one of those vintage faceted buttons, I set one of the large pearl jewels. So let's just set that in the center, just like that. There is adhesive on the back of it. And then that's just pressed right onto the back there. So let's take that and set that there. Okay, now as soon as this cools, we are going to tip it over and work on the back side. So let me set this aside, and I'm going to give it a second to cool, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I've stamped this little ornament on an old very vanilla piece of cardstock, and I just realized I stamped it right in the center, so I'm going to just trim that down a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take my 1 3/4 inch circle, and I'm cutting off the top portion of that ornament, and I'm just getting the circle part to go into the center of the back of my ornament. So now we've got this. You decide which one you want to be your top ornament, and you can always go in and kind of adjust some of these pieces after you're done. So I've decided I'm going to use this one. I've taken a length of the linen thread. I'm just going to do a strip of the hot glue, and there we go. Kind of stick that in there, or use your paper piercer, whichever one. Okay, so now it just comes to the matter of taking your flat ornaments, and I'm going to pull back in my Tumble multi-adhesive. Okay, and just cover those up. Just put that down, cover those up, cover up that back to make it look nice and pretty. Okay, finish up my ornament. All I need, one last circle piece here. Okay, set that right in the center. Cover up all that little center part there. And there you go. And look at that. You have the incredibly gorgeous ornament, and this might even be a just hang it on its own little stand ornament for Christmas. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Chris at mystamplady.com, and I hope you have fun making yours. All of the supplies for this project are available in my online store, which you can find at mystamplady.com. Have a great day.